All right. Welcome back to the Paul Watson Project. This is week 4. We've got some exciting matchups yet again in the Paul Watson Project. I'm your host, Walker Bruns. Before we get into the games, when I think of week 4 of fantasy football, I think of routines. What have you got as a routine as a fantasy football manager? We're about to see buys coming up. Injuries are already popping up left and right. It's going to be on you, the manager, to manage that team to victories. So what kind of routines do you got in place? Do you check your lineup waiver wire on Tuesday? Do you check your lineup before the games Thursday? What have you got going on? It doesn't matter what it is, but I think if you've got a good routine, you've got a good chance to get some victories. So before we go any farther, let's do a quick recap of the cool stats from week 3. Passing it over to you, Jake, for our quick hits.
Quick hits of the week.
Thank you, Walker Bruns, and welcome to the second segment of Quick Hits. Let's hop right in. The first quick hit of the week, the biggest blowout or the biggest switch up, coming from Say My Name, switching from having the biggest blowout last week to being the biggest blown out this week. This time being blown out by 2 in the Brown, 1 in the Zeke by a whopping 66.08 points. Congratulations, Jake Bozier. Quick hit number 2 of the week, the under 60 point club. For the first time this season, and I bet will be the last, Cool Runnings joins the under 60 point club with 59.26 points. Come on, Zach Tinsley. Which brings me to Come On Man. The Come On Man of the week goes to none other than Acid Playground, deciding to pull an old Walker Bruns and starting Justin Fields in place of Trevor Lawrence, a 2-week starter, which literally cost him the victory to Cam 47 Acres. Congratulations, Travis Stouffer. All right, fellas, Lamar Jackson still remains at the top of the season total list with 104.26 points, extending his lead on Josh Allen by 14.4 points, with the newcomer Jalen Hurts in third place with 86.34 points. Good luck, fellas, next week, and this has been the second segment of Quick Hits.
Thank you for those quick hits, Jake. Listening to the interesting facts from week 3 always get me excited to look ahead to what might happen in week 4 that's going to be talked about next week. Before we go any farther, I do want to let you know who our guest is going to be on this week's show. We've got Ryan Long joining us, aka Not My Chubby. We're going to break down the games. But before we go any further, I'm going to pass it over to our chief analyst, Travis Stouffer, for the matchup power rankings. And I just know last week was his first video of the matchup power rankings, and he predicted that the number 1 matchup was the Lane Bowl, and it did not fail us. So I'm looking forward to see what you have today, Travis. Over to you.
And welcome to our power rankings matchups for week 4. Starting with number 6, Oh Fill My Cup versus Say My Name. Number 1 versus number 10, Rob versus David. I'm sorry, I don't know what's intriguing here. This is number 6 for a reason. Number 5, Cam $47 Acres versus Roger Goodell. Number 2 versus number 11, Nick versus Travis. The commissioner pulled one out last week over his brother in the Lame Bowl, but the commissioner needs another win this week, and he needs it badly. Can he get it done? Number 4, 2 in the Brown, 1 in the Zeke versus Prison Mike. This is a battle between what everyone thinks is the worst team in the league and what actually is the worst team in the league so far. Zach Lane's season could be over with a loss here. Number 3, Kyler, I barely knew her versus Not My Chubby. Now, your first reaction to this matchup might be, wow, this looks like 2 turtles fighting over a piece of lettuce. But reality is, whoever wins is back to 500 and back in business. Number 2, Cool Runnings versus Eckler. I hardly even know her. Austin versus Zach. Number 6 versus number 9. Austin hanging on to that 6th seed in the playoffs despite the losing record right now. Zach also sitting at 1-2, but it's a different kind of 1-2. Reeling off of that 59-point outing last week, some are calling this a must-win week for Zach Tinsley. And number 1 in the Paul Watson Project Week 4 matchup power rankings, Acid Playground versus Connor and Sound. Number 5 versus number 3, Jake Bellwood versus Walker Bruns. Jake's going to say he doesn't care that much about this, but I want you to know he wants nothing more on this planet than to beat Walker this week. These are the 2 best rosters in the league. They're both 2-1. I cannot wait to see what's in store for these guys. We're getting ready to find out what somebody's made of. Thank you, Walker. Back to you.
Thank you for that breakdown, Travis. That did look like one of the more dangerous segments that we've had on this show. I hope you're driving safe out there. Hope you get home safely. But I am looking forward to those marquee matchups that you've mentioned. I hope they deliver like they did last week. Without any further ado, let's welcome our guest, Ryan Long, and break down this week's games.
All right, Ryan Long, welcome to the show. It's a new week. It's a new Ryan. Got a new team name. I don't know what's going on over here. You got anything to say to the haters? I feel like a lot of hate's been coming your way.
Hey, I mean, people have been claiming that I'm all a college guy. I don't pay attention to my roster, but, sometimes I'm just at church and can't make the adjustments right away. So, sometimes I get caught, but, you just got to look yourself in the mirror sometimes and notice all the negativity and make the changes that's needed.
Thriving off the negativity, bringing in the positivity of the wins. You're going to keep them coming this year. Looking forward to it. Let's get into our Week 4 games. We're going to start off here with Oh Fill My Cup versus Say My Name. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, hey, it's unbeaten against kind of a struggling team a little bit with David Smith. And it's going to be a tough matchup for Say My Name, I don't know. Oh Fill My Cup looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a team, when I look at Oh Fill My Cup, a team, tons of momentum going into this week. It's the highest scoring team, number 1 team. It's a lineup that's going to keep going strong this week. And then when I look at Say My Name's team, you look at the running back position. What do you see? I see 2 Bears running back in the starting slot. Unless the Bears can put up 30 points this week, it's going to be a tough road. But, hey, injuries will do that to you. Good luck to both of these squads. Let's move on to Cam $47 Acres versus our commissioner, Roger Goodell. Ryan, give me your thoughts.
Roger Goodell bounced back with a fantastic week in a win last week. Cam Akers just continued the success. You look at Roger Goodell's team, you think he has some players that can make a splash and make a difference for him. It worked last week. Is it going to work this week? Who knows? Cam Akers is a great team. You got obviously Akers playing really well, and then Samuel. I mean, he's always a good play, so you're going to get some points out of him.
Yeah, it's always nice to not have to worry about some people on your starting lineup. You can just put them in there. They're going to get some points. Roger Goodell, he added Mark Andrews just a week ago. He had a huge game. He's going to continue to have big games. Russell Wilson is a question mark for me. He just hasn't had a good season yet. But if he gets his footing, watch out. Roger Goodell can make some noise here. When you look at Cam, $47 Acres, I see Romeo Dobbs or Dubes. I don't know how you pronounce his name. In that starting lineup, he had a big week last week, but he was on his bench. Is this just a manager that's just reactive? If a player has a big week, he just reacts and puts him in the next week. That might cost some making these kind of moves. Being a reactive manager, I've known, is not a path to success. You got to be a proactive manager.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to our number 4 matchup, which is Prison Mike versus 2 in the Brown, 1 in the Zeke. Thoughts here?
Prison Mike, I thought he was going to get it on Monday night, man. Pollard just couldn't catch a break. He had that. He almost had a breakout run at the very end within the closing minutes of that game. Just got tripped up there. You know, he had a good showing last week. Almost pulled it out, but just couldn't quite get over the edge for that first win. 2 in the Brown. Patrick Mahomes, AJ Brown, man, they've been tearing it up. DJ Metcalf had a great week. Scored some good points. You know, it's for that first win, Prison might have some more struggles this week. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a question mark. You look at this team, you say, how in the world is this team 0-3? Is this just a team that the fantasy gods will continue to frown upon? Just bad bounces, bad management? Either way, I think Justin Jefferson has a big week this week. 2 in the Brown and 1 in the Zeke. It's going to be a rainy game in Jacksonville this week. He's got a guy who he traded for Mark Andrews, and that's James Robinson. I think it's going to be a running game, and I think James Robinson is going to have a big one. He's going to go off, and Mahomes is going to have a revenge game after having a loss last week versus the pathetic Colts team. They're going to bounce back. Mahomes is going to go crazy. So look for James Robinson, Patrick Mahomes, to just go off. That's my prediction there. I'm not predicting who wins the game, but you can kind of hear it in my tone there. Let's move on to our number 3 matchup, which includes yourself. It's Kyler, I barely knew her, versus not my chubby
Alex, he had a good week last week. I think I may have just gotten lucky with having the lowest score against me in Zach's team. You know, I didn't have a great week. But I did enough to be able to get the win there. You know, big play out of Nick Chubb. Finally, first week that running backs have gotten over 17 points. I had 2 of them, but unfortunately one was on the bench. Maybe some running backs will make a splash. Leonard Fournette still kind of struggling a little bit, but I get Mike Evans back from suspension, protecting his QB. You gotta love the guy, right? And hopefully I can get some good play out of a few other guys. Lockett, he's been kind of struggling a little bit. So,
Did you say you haven't had good scoring out of your running backs? Is that what you said? Because
Leonard Fournette, he's been kind of struggling. I mean, nothing fantastic like he has in the past, but Nick Chubb's been a good player until, take that back. He got 30 points last week. Never mind. Forget that.
The reason I asked you that is because actually you have the most rushing from running backs. You have the most points in the league right now. But from the receiving core, you have the least amount of points. So you get Mike Evans back, but you already have that big-time rushing core. I think if you can get those receiving yards up, week to week, you're going to have a really good squad. When I look at Kyler, I barely know her. I said that it's going to be a rainy game down in Jacksonville. Well, he's got the other running back, Travis Etienne. He's the pass-catching back. I don't think he's going to have a good week. But I do think Breece Hall and Kyle Pitts, the young guns, well, almost everyone on his team is a young gun. Those 2 young guns have a good week. Let's move on to our number 2 matchup, getting to the top here. Eckler, I hardly know her, versus Cool Runnings. Give me the breakdown there.
Eckler hardly even know her. With the score last week, would have beaten a lot of teams, so he's going to be a good matchup. Let's see, Cool Runnings. Just a torture of a week. Pain for any manager, Christian Kirk was the only one to show up for him. After a week like that, who knows what to expect? You could have a bust-out week, but you could also have a lot of the same. You just never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Austin's team, just every week I say it, solid team, top to bottom. My question here is, can Travis Kelce score more than 20 points this week? If he can, I think it's going to be a shootout between Tampa and Kansas City. If Kelce's the one who's getting the touchdowns, I think it's going to be a good week for him. And then you look at the team, you've already mentioned it, coming off a really, really rough week. It's going to be, his team is really boom or bust, right? But I think this week it's going to show that this team's going to have a few more busts than it does booms. All right, let's move on to our number one matchup. It involves myself, Acid Playground, versus Connor and Sound. Give me your thoughts here.
Connor and Sound. On paper, they're a great team. Had an okay week, I think, for him last week. Got lucky, I think, with having a lower score for which was the case for a couple teams. Waddle with a solid week. There were a couple of guys that had decent weeks. Can he keep it up? Can he bounce back with another win and maybe score a little more points? I think he's going to have to playing you. You got Jamar Chase. He's been struggling this year. Hadn't been the player, except for week one, hadn't been the player that he was last year. And Fields, he's not doing anything.
Don't worry, I'm dropping him.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, I think you would have to do something to wait on Watson, and then even when Watson gets back, is he going to be the guy that he was 3 years ago now?
Yeah,
you don't know if he's going to be the player anymore. But you got Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley had a huge week. Cortland Sutton. You got players all over the place. I think it's going to be tough for Connor and Sound to have a good week this week, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely my quarterback position, I'm going to have to play the waiver wire quite a bit this year because I just don't know what I'm going to get out of it. Didn't get a lot out of it last week. I really need Javonte Williams and Christian McCaffrey to get going, and I really think I do have a good team. But we'll see. Of course, things happen. It's fantasy football. I think Connor and Sound, best QB in the league. Question marks here on Dalvin Cook's health. Jake spent a lot of his money on Dalvin Cook. Is he even going to be playing for the next couple of weeks? I don't know. They say he will, but he got injured last week. And then does he have the depth to pull this off with a replacement at running back? Well, hey, Ryan, appreciate you joining. We're going to be bringing on our next guest, or not our next guest, but our chief analyst, Travis Stouffer, and we're going to predict this week's games. Before we do that, I just want to say, so we've had my predictions every week. We've had a guest's prediction every week. We've seen Yahoo's prediction, and now Travis is giving his prediction as well. I accumulated the total percentages of everyone. Each person is batting 500 right now. Each person has predicted as many wins and losses. So however that shakes out, maybe this week Ryan Long could be the one to show us how to predict the games. Let's jump into the predictions. All right, Travis, well, welcome to the show. We're going to jump into our preview here for week 4 and our predictions. But I've got to ask, because we had the name Ryan's Team for so long, what inspired the name change?
Like I said earlier, people were on my case. I was getting put out as just a college guy, and I felt like I needed to make a change and maybe spark something for my team. So I thought a new name would help that.
All right, well, it's a new Ryan. You're going to show us how to make predictions and make them good. So here we go. Let's start off with the number 6 matchup. Who you got between Oh Fill My Cup and Say My Name? Yahoo has it as Oh Fill My Cup as the winner here in a blowout. Ryan, who do you got?
Oh Fill My Cup they're 3-0 for a reason. Lamar Jackson, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry finally showed up last week. I think he's going to continue the role, just go 4-0.
Yeah, I got to go with Oh Fill My Cup here. There's just David's team has to play too perfect.
It looks like it's going to be a clean sweep here. Oh Fill My Cup. Not a lot of questions asked on that one. Number 5 matchup here. We've got Travis's team, Cam $47 Acres versus Roger Goodell. Yahoo has it as a commissioner win here. Roger Goodell wins it. Ryan, who do you got in this one?
I think I'm going to have to go with Roger Goodell. He got Mark Andrews. I think that's going to be a big addition for him again this week. So I'm going to go with Roger Goodell.
Travis?
Okay, Yahoo. How good has Russell Wilson been, or CD Lamb, or really even Jonathan Taylor for that matter? I don't like my team, but I hate Nick's team. I'm taking me.
I think he got lucky. He got to play his brother, who the fantasy gods hate. Other than that, I'm not sure you'd have a win this week. I'm going with Travis in this one. Let's move on to the number 4 matchup. Prison Mike, which is Zach Lane, versus 2 in the Brown, 1 in the Zeke. Yahoo has this one as Prison Mike getting his first win. Ryan?
I went back and forth on this one. You got Jalen Hurts. He's playing really well, but they're playing in Jacksonville, and with that hurricane coming, it's going to be all on the ground, I think. So I'm going to have to go with 2 in the Brown, 1 in the Hurt.
Zach Lane for his first win this week. I think his guys pan this week. I think people do what they're supposed to do, and I think he wins pretty heavy.
Interesting pick there. I'm kind of leaning Ryan's way here. Big hurricane coming. James Robinson has a big week. Patrick Mahomes has a big week. The fantasy gods continue to frown upon Zach Lane. 2 in the Brown. Jake Bozier gets the win here. Let's move on to our number 3 matchup. Kyler, I barely knew her, versus Ryan's team over here, Not My Chubby. Yahoo has this one with the victory for Ryan. Who do you got?
Yeah, I had a good week last week. Not a great one, but got lucky and had the opposing team score 60 points, something like that. Being an Arkansas fan, anytime we get up on ourselves, we always let ourselves down. So I think I'm going to have to go with Kyler. I barely knew her.
All right, Travis, who you got?
I got Ryan here. I think this team is getting healthy, and I think this team is scary.
Tend to agree here. Not My Chubby for me. Best running attack in the league, and now he's got an improvement at receiver. He's going to keep it going. All right, number 2, we've got Eckler, I hardly know her, versus Cool Runnings. Yahoo sees this one as a close one, with Austin pulling out the victory. Ryan, who you got?
Kirk Cousins, he's on a tear. Got Eckler. Kelsey had a great week. Zach, I don't know if he can turn it around. I think he's just in a rut. So I'm gonna have to go with Austin.
I think that Zach Pensley doubles his points this week, but I think Kirk Cousins goes off this week. I think Austin wins this matchup.
I've got Austin winning this one because Cool Runnings, 2 boomer bust, and this is just going to be a bust again this week. But I do hope he outscores his last week's performance. I'm not sure. That might be the floor for the ceiling across the league. We shall see. Our premier matchup this week is Acid Playground versus Connor and Sound. Yahoo sees it as an Acid Playground victory. Ryan, who do you got?
I think this is definitely going to be the game of the week. Depending on who you change at quarterback with Fields, I think that might be your weak link right now, or definitely is the weak link. I think you still have the players to be able to pull this one out. I think I've got Acid Playground.
Alexander Madison MVP this week. I'm going Bellwood here. I think he might have made a league-winning trade today. Maybe.
Yeah, we shall see how it pans out. I think the injury bug finally hits me. One of my players goes down. Joins Dalvin Cook on the bench. Connor and Sound wins this one by a big margin. That's who I've got. Thank you guys for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. Have a good one.
Well, that wraps up our show. I do want to thank our guests, Ryan, Jake, and Travis, for joining me on this week's show. I look forward to having more of you on in the future, and good luck this week.
This is the Paul Watson Project.